Minecraft.
Before I go traipsing off to the moon, I want to make sure that I have a safe way back. Now, the traditional way to do that is with the rocket, and if I take some fuel and the fuel loader with me, I should be able to put more, and some fuel. I think I said that. Okay, if I take fuel and the fuel loader with me, and power, that's what I need. I'm going to need some power, which I'm going to take in the form of these batteries. But anyway, as long as I do that, I should be able to load the rocket back with fuel and fly the rocket back here to the main planet. But I'm not going to want to do that every single time I want to go back and forth to the moon, and I'm probably going to want to do so because my power source is here and all of my stuff is here. So I want to have an easier way to go back and forth. And for that, we're going to attempt to build a Stargate, and we'll have to build a Stargate here and a Stargate on the moon and then connect the two together, hopefully. Now, the SGCraft mod, which is what we're using to build these Stargates, create something called Naquadah. I think it might be Naquadah. I'm not sure. It's spelled like it would be Naquadah, but anyway, I'll call it Naquadah. I'm gonna call it Naquadah, and if I'm pronouncing that wrong, someone please let me know, and let me know how to pronounce it because I really don't know. Anyway, the SGCraft mod adds this Naquadah ore, which generates throughout the world. Now, I have found total 28 Naquadah ore in all the time that I've been doing stuff. I had 27 Naquadah here, and prior to creating my bedrock pickaxe. After creating my bedrock pickaxe, of course, I got the Naquadah ore because of the silk touch. But since then, I have not found any of the Naquadah. Apparently it's very rare. It doesn't spawn a lot. Furthermore, the Naquadah ore doesn't really is not recognized by any of the technology mods, so I can't put it through the extractor or pulverizer or anything to get more out of it. And since my boring machine has been running, I do not have any more Naquadah at all. My boring machine has been running for a long time. I've got over 60,000 cobblestone, to give you an idea of that. So I'm just not getting very much of this Naquadah at all. So in the interest of making this usable for me, I went into the config settings for the mod, and there's a way to actually create this Naquadah. The recipe for that is coal, slime balls, and blaze powder. Now, that's a fairly simplistic recipe normally and easy to do. Of course, I have the problem of having no ready access to blaze powder other than decomposing the endstone, as you've seen in previous videos. So despite the fact that this recipe is actually fairly simple, it's not actually all that simple for me. And this Naquadah is pretty important. First of all, the Naquadah is used to make this Naquadah alloy ingot, which is done by combining it with iron. And that is important because all of the components of the Stargates are made from that Naquadah alloy ingot. So you have the Stargate base, as you can see, the Naquadah alloy ingot's there. Also requires an Eye of Ender, which also requires another blaze powder, so another way I'm going to have to use up blaze powder. The chevron blocks also require Naquadah alloy ingots, and these Stargate ring blocks require 3 of them. Now, the Stargate itself requires 8 of these ring blocks. That sound is, of course, my meteor defense gun blowing something up, blowing up a meteor. As I was saying, the Stargate itself requires 8 of these ring blocks, so that obviously is 24 of these alloys. 7 of these chevron blocks, so that's another 14 for a total of 38. And then one of these base blocks another 2, so a total of 40 Naquadah alloy ingots. So I haven't even found throughout the world legitimately enough of this Naquadah to even build one Stargate, much less building 2 of them, one here and one on the moon, which, as you can see, is the reason why I wanted to enable the config to allow me to craft the Naquadah itself. In addition to making the Stargate, I need to make this controller, and that does not require any of the Naquadah, but here's the recipe for it. As you can see, obsidian, ender pearls, and some buttons. You also see that you have these controller crystals. These aren't too bad. Diamonds, redstone, and some orange dye. If this is also part of the config to be able to make this, otherwise you have to either find it in dungeon loot, or I think you can find a villager that will trade it to you. And in the base block here, you have the Stargate core crystal, again, diamond, lapis, and redstone. And this is another item that normally you would have to find as dungeon loot or trade with a villager, but I have enabled the config to be able to make it. So these are the pieces that I need to use in order, these are the pieces that I need to make the Stargate itself. I'm going to go ahead and craft up all the ones that I need, and we'll build our first Stargate. I made a mistake on the Naquadah ore. When you mine this Naquadah ore, you get a random number of the Naquadah itself. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere there in there, it's a random amount. So when I had 27 Naquadah, that means I had probably found 5 or 6 of the Naquadah ore. So in total, I maybe found a maximum of 7 Naquadah ore in all of the mining and everything that I've been doing. So I just wanted to mention that that's about, that gives you a better idea of how rare it is. I do not have a lot of blaze powder. I've got 16 bits of it here. I have made all the components for one Stargate, and it uses up quite a bit of the blaze powder there. So it turns out that I can actually use the chemical synthesis machine to make endstone. It's 2 bits of silicon, oxygen, 4 bits of hydrogen, and 1 bit of lithium. Now, silicon, oxygen, and hydrogen are fairly common elements, and I can get them from things like stone or dirt or grass. Oxygen as well I can get from just about anything, and hydrogen I can get from water, sugarcane, any, like I said, those are fairly common. Lithium, on the other hand, is not as common. In fact, the only thing that I can get it from is endstone itself. So endstone has a chance of creating for me plutonium, which I need to make the blaze rod, the blaze powder itself. And there's also a chance that it can give me lithium. Of course, it might not give me any lithium. So despite the fact that I can use the chemical synthesis machine to make endstone, I have to use endstone to make endstone, and it's going to be a thing of diminishing returns because I won't always get lithium, so eventually I would run out. So even with that, my ability to make blaze powder is still going to be fairly limited. But I want to make as much of it as I can, because the Naquadah, in addition to being used to create the Stargates themselves, are also used to power the Stargates. And I don't know how many of them I'm going to need, so I'm going to want to make as many as I possibly can, just in case. I have the items necessary to build the Stargate: a base, 8 ring blocks, and 7 chevron blocks. And basically they get put into what would be a 5x5 circle. And I think I'm going to put it here, like so. And then that's the base with this blue spot pointing out towards how you want the Stargate to be. And then you alternate these ring blocks and chevron blocks all the way around, making what would look like a 5x5 circle, like so. And you can put them in any order. I try to just do it the way that is simplest to remember, for me anyway. Okay, go back over here, and boop, and boop, and then bop, bop, and one last one here in the middle. And as soon as I place it, this thing will form into a Stargate, which looks like that, and which looks pretty darn cool. Now, somewhere in line with where the base was, either on the same level or one level below, you're going to want to put the Stargate controller, which is sometimes also called a dial home device. So that goes right there, and that will allow you to access the control panel. Now, right click on the Stargate anywhere on it, and you'll see a couple of things. First thing is the Stargate address, which is represented in symbolic form up here, but in letters for those of us that can't handle the symbols. As you can see here, it's ZCPBNBA. You're going to want to write that down or find some way to remember it. And that is the address of the Stargate. That is what you're going to dial in order to access this Stargate. The next thing you'll see is a spot for fuel, and it does operate on this Naquadah fuel, or Naquadah stuff that you get from the Naquadah ore. So I'll go ahead and put some fuel. You only need fuel to send you somewhere, not to receive. But you are going to be using I am going to be using Stargates to go back and forth, so this will be important. So I just want to make sure that I have written down ZCPBNBA, the address. Now, this controller is where you put in an address. For example, I could put in ZCPBNBA. And then this orange bulb here, if I click that, that will attempt to open a Stargate connection to that portal. I won't be able to do that, of course, because that you can't connect the Stargate to itself for, well, I would think that would be fairly obvious, but I guess you could try just about anything. You could, of course, try to make up a Stargate address just by putting in letters at random. Of course, the odds that you're going to happen to come across a Stargate are probably fairly slim. I don't know if this mod creates Stargates in existence anywhere in the world of Minecraft, so don't count on trying to get lucky and finding one, is what I would say. But there is the Stargate itself, and now, of course, when I travel to the moon, I will build a Stargate up there, and if things go well, that will mean I will have a way to transport myself back and forth between here and the moon. Going over my last minute checklist, I have 2 full heavy oxygen tanks, my oxygen gear, as well as the oxygen mask, frequency module, which I probably won't need, but have it just in case, as well as a parachute. In my backpack here, I've got the items that I need to make the Stargate, which will hopefully work and allow me to come back here. If it doesn't, I have a fuel loader, some batteries, and some fuel, which will allow me to refuel the rocket so I can fly back at the very least. And in addition to that, just because I'm a little bit paranoid, I don't know how long the oxygen lasts, I have 2 additional heavy oxygen tanks. You can see there's one there. So that is my backup. And with all that being said, I think it's time to attempt to fly to the moon. Now, I am a bit worried about this. There's lots of things that can go wrong in this scenario. But I'm going to try it and see what happens. So we'll get in the rocket, check my inventory, fuel is full, good, and hit space to launch. And you can see the countdown, 18, 17, engines are powering up, and you can kind of see me in there a little bit. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we should have liftoff. Yep, there we go. Coming through the silo that I built and heading up into space. How cool. There's the Minecraft world down below that we're leaving behind, and turns into this pixelated version. I have noticed that this pixelated version of what the Minecraft world is supposed to be look like has almost a US centric. I feel like the top part up there looks like the US, then connected to South America, North America up there connected to South America. And it doesn't matter what your world actually looks like, if you when you take off with Galacticraft, it will end up looking like that. Of course, maybe if you turn it that way, it doesn't quite look so America centric. But we are almost at the maximum height of the rocket, and eventually we will get the option to travel to the moon. So it's on moon, and we're going to hit send to dimension. And now we're back. Hold down the space bar to slow down. If you are going too fast, you will slam into the planet's surface and, of course, die. Once you hold it down, it'll slow down to minus 10 meters per second, the slowest it'll be. But as long as you're doing that, you will land safely. And there's the surface of the planet. And I've landed. Just left click, there you go, to get out. And go back to normal viewpoint. There we go. And here we are on the moon. Now, this is, let's see, it says with my night vision off, so night vision on is actually worse. Okay, so I don't want to waste too much time. This is the moon, the space lander itself that you land on. If you right click on this, you can retrieve your launch pad as well as your rocket. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And other than that, there's nothing else that you can do with this. But you can set your launch pad back down, put your rocket on it, and as long as you remember to bring a fuel loader and some fuel and a battery, you can refuel it and then go. So normal jumps, of course, are super jumps on the moon because there is no gravity. And I don't see much of a reason to go too terribly far away. I think I'm just going to go over to this spot right here and attempt to build my my Stargate. So I need these blocks here, and I felt like I heard a skeleton, and that would be rather distressing to find skeletons on the moon, I would think. Alright, so we build it the same way we built it on the overworld with these blocks. And the same ring pattern, except do it correctly. And that's one of the effects of being on the moon with lessened gravity, means things just kind of float up in a way. So we'll do that, and that goes there, that goes there. And I'm going to go ahead and fly, because I do have my jetpack type stuff here, my jetpack and my jet boots, and that, and that, and that. Oh, good. Stargate did form. I was a little bit worried that this might not work. And let's go ahead and say, can I dig that out? Oh, I can. There it goes. Whee! Moon turf, okay. And we'll put down our, just turn off the flight control, put down the controller there. Now, did I bring the fuel? I did. There's the Naquadah. And take 10 of those. So let's go here. Okay, so there's the Stargate address for this portal, or this Stargate. I keep calling them portals. This Stargate. Let me write that down. L-A-K-B-N-D-B. Alright. And I'll put some fuel in there. And okay, so now if I put in the Stargate address of the Stargate back at base, it's ZCP BNBA, and then hit this. Oh yes. Oh. Woohoo! Alright. Moment of truth. Take me back to the base. Yes! Yes, yes, yes. I am back at base. Okay. Loading. It's just not loading in, but I'm here. And if I go back through, take me to the moon. And I'm on the moon. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm so happy about that. I'm glad that it worked. I was worried that it wouldn't work, but it did work. That is so cool. Okay, now I need to figure out how to create an oxygen atmosphere on the moon. Oh, I guess I could mention that if you right-click on the controller and then just click the big orange button here, that will shut down the Stargate and close it up. I don't know. It's possible that it continues to use up fuel, this Naquadah fuel, every time, as long as it's open. I'm not really sure about that part of things. But there we go. Let me figure out how to create oxygen on the moon. I'm here on the moon, and I was just prettying up my Stargate, same way I did at the one back at home. These are just silver block pieces, micro blocks. I think they blend in well with the color scheme of the Stargate itself. But anyway, I heard the booming sound that normally accompanies whenever the meteor defense gun destroys a meteor. I don't have a meteor defense gun here on the moon, so obviously there is somewhat of a bugginess with the MeteorCraft mod, because a meteor was destroyed here on the moon. You can see the littering of scattering of ores that happens when that occurs here. It should not have occurred here because, of course, I don't have a meteor gun here. It should have just been a regular meteor that hit the ground. So obviously that's a bit of a bug. It's also a little distressing because I was really hoping that the meteors would not be hitting the ground here on the moon at all, but apparently they do. There may be a way for me to fix that problem, and I'm gonna look into it, but I just thought I would show the bugginess with the MeteorCraft mod itself. I was looking up some information, and it appears that I'm going to need quite a bit of machinery and other items in order to establish a base on the moon with a steady oxygen supply. I'll have to enclose the area where I have the Stargate, build an oxygen collection system with probably a wheat farm is probably going to be the easiest thing with the mods I have installed to generate oxygen, and pipe that in, do airlocks, oxygen sealers, and a whole bunch of stuff. So that's going to take a while, so I'm going to wrap this up here for this episode. I've made it to the moon. I have Stargates to get me back and forth to the moon, which is really great and a relief because, as I said, I wasn't sure it was going to work properly, but it did. And now I can work on making a base on the moon and a place where I can kill the Wither without upsetting the local residents down here on the Minecraft world. And I need to be able to kill a Wither because I need another Nether Star for something that has nothing to do with my health and everything to do with the next stages of what I want to do in this series. So thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked watching, seeing the Stargate. And seeing something that's actually a circle in Minecraft is always something somewhat unique and fun to see. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.